Well, hey guys. So as we continue to add on to our design, you should notice that a couple things from the last video you saw here for the supplemental stuff, that we have these stripes that are now kind of like, they look a little bit better, they look a little more normal. And we also have these little trees added here. Now, the trees are a little bit different. You can do it one of two ways. You could obviously just draw a little square and have the same kind of shaded sides. But I found this little sort of spherical looking thing looks fun too, and obviously you could add to it. For instance, if I wanted, like, can I get in here and just sort of make a little copy here, just kind of add a couple, kind of layers to it and stuff. I could obviously do that if I wanted to, make it kind of like a tree shape like this. But I'll just show you kind of how to create this little thing here, and if you wanted to kind of add to that, actually it looks kind of cool. So if you want to add to that, you obviously could, but essentially I'll just kind of show you how I did these little roads here. So let me just go ahead. I'll just take these off for now. I'll just delete these as well, and I'll go ahead and I'll make one of these in a second here. Okay, so as far as the road goes, I'm gonna get my fill here. I'm gonna change my fill to something like kind of plain. Let me get my pen tool for just a second. I'll get my fill like red, and I'm just gonna go up here. I'm gonna draw a rectangle, kind of an empty space, and I'll just sort of draw a thin rectangle like that, and maybe a little bit shorter. Oops. Cancel. Make sure we can use the shape tool. We don't have to change because it's live tools here. We'll get a little closer here. And I'm just going to Alt. With my select tool, Alt drag, hold down Shift while I'm doing this. So I'll end up, hold down Shift, click on both of those, Object, Blend, Make, and I'll go to Object, Blend, Options, and go from Smooth Color to Specified Steps, and I'll maybe choose like something like 4. So we got a few stripes here. Okay, so before we can apply it down here, I want to make sure it's the right shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Object, Transform. I'm going to go to Shear. I'm going to shear it 30 degrees, so it kind of forms these little parallelograms. Now, if you do it to the, obviously if you do it to the shapes, it's going to blend the shapes, so we have identical shapes on the other side. If I chose one and blended one that way, or transform one, then it would do a little transition, but that's there. And then what we'll do is we'll go to Object, Rotate, or Transform and Rotate, and we'll rotate it negative 30 degrees. Press OK. And then what we can do is we can then sort of bring it down here, and we can apply it to our road. Now in this case, what I'll do is I'll get my Direct Select tool. I'll just drag one of these a little bit closer. There we go. And we just sort of position this to be about halfway through. I wonder if I could get in here and sort of thin one of these out a little bit. Like so. There you go. That kind of messes up the so obviously depending on what you have, you may want to make it thinner from the get-go, but that's okay. And what I'll do is I'll just go back to fill, and I'll fill it to white, and that gives us our little stripes here. These are a bit too thick for my taste, but it's okay for now. You get the idea. The idea is you draw them thin, and then you can kind of stretch them out across your road. And if I wanted to apply to the other side, I can just go to Transform, Reflect, and Copy, and I'll just drag it over here, and I get my little stripes in the road. And in this case, I'm going to see if I can't grab this car and Control Shift. So maybe he's going over the line a little bit. No, that's okay. The lanes are kind of thin. All right, as far as these guys go, I'll just delete this right here, this as well, this as well. And I'll just start off with my sort of plot of land, my little plot of dirt. You've seen these from time to time, especially if you go to like the little river crossings shopping center. Let's just draw a circle here. And we'll essentially do the same thing we did before. We'll go to Select, or Object rather, Transform, Shear 30 degrees. Then we'll go to Object, Rotate, and we'll do that negative 30 degrees. So now I might shrink this down slightly here. Let me just shrink it down a little bit before I do all that. A little bit smaller. Cancel. And I'll go to Object, once again, Transform, Shear 30 degrees. Object, Transform, Rotate, negative 30 degrees. And I'll just plop this down right there. I can just trim it down a little bit just to make it kind of fit in better. Okay, so we have our little a little plot of land there. As far as these little guys go, it's pretty simple. I just did this on the grid itself. As far as making these guys, I just went down the grid with my pen tool, just making this the thinnest I possibly could while still following the grid, and a little one side of the tree. Back it off here. Transform, reflect, copy, and then just sort of drag that over there, make it a little bit darker using our HSB tab, pull up the brightness. So this is obviously meant to be some sort of like sort of silver barked kind of poplar tree. Obviously, you know, if you wanted to make your tree trunk more like a sweet gum or a maple, obviously you could do that as well. But I wanted to sort of like stand out from the dirt. What's going on up here? What is this? All right, I'll just grab this with point and just pop it there. Okay, good. Okay, so once again, we'll just grab these guys and we'll shrink them on down real tiny and stick it right there in the mud. And so that follows the same pattern. Once again, the lighting pattern is consistent. Now, as far as the treetop goes, let me take off my here. Center this a bit better. Okay, and so what we'll do as far as the tree top goes, we'll grab our ellipse tool, we'll just draw a circle, and go over here to your Properties tab, and under Fill, find your swatches, and find this little white-black gradient here. And we'll go to Window, and find Gradient, and we'll double-click on one of the stops here, the sliders. We'll double-click on this, and we'll find sort of a light green color, or if you want to do an autumn color, you can. And I'll do a gradient slider here for the darker shade of green, so it has this little gradient going across. And obviously you can adjust those as you see fit. I might take this a bit better and maybe go over to my HSB tab and light this up just a bit better. Right, that'd be good. And then we'll go over here, instead of for type, we'll say radial type. And then over here on your toolbar on the side here, find this little tool here, the gradient tool. And you'll see this little kind of device hanging out here, and you just sort of drag that and move that gradient. So this circle right here represents the actual expansion of the light green to it's the radial gradient itself. So if I pop this over here on the side, on the corner, you can kind of see what's going on. It sort of forms this this sort of shine, as it were, and lends it a sort of 3D look. Now you can do this. Oops, let me just do that. Obviously, every time you click the button, it's going to start doing something else with the gradient here. But let me just back this up until I get back to where it was. So just clicking on the bar and moving it around. Obviously, you can take this little edge here. You can move it around as well. I can make it brighter. I can make it sharper, crisper if I wanted to. I can drag this around. If you rotate it, it's not going to make a difference because it's a perfect circle, so that's not going to change anything. But there you go. That's your little treetop there. Now, if I want once again to like sort of alt drag down, something like that, I can make a little regular treetop shape. One more like that. That might be something to think about. I think 3 worked out pretty well here. I can just take those and sort of pop them right there, and a little bit. There you go. You got a little treetop. So there you go. So here's a quick way of adding some new little elements to your design. If you want to use the same kind of technique to make a little bush, a little shrubbery, that's fine too. If you wanted to just do a square, that's fine as well. But I think this adds a little bit of flavor to it. I add a little roof to mine, and next time we'll see if we can maybe add some shutters or some verandas to various parts. And one thing about the road here, you notice right here, I actually had my road kind of sit down a little bit. Now I didn't actually follow the grid for this one, as you can kind of see. There's a bit of a kind of herky jerky over here. But what I'll do is I'll just sort of match this down, pull this down a little bit. Oops, grab this and then pull it down, and so hopefully that'll match up. The whole idea is I wanted to add a little curb, as it were, sort of somewhere for the people to step off of when they were on the sidewalk. Alright, so we'll just continue adding to this as we go through, and let me just get this whole thing back up front. Alright, well, alright, so while I deal with that, you can continue adding to your design. Cannot wait to see you guys produce.